And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're going to take a look at a game called Space Sheep, which has by far the worst tagline ever, use the Force. And the whole thing, make sure it tells you in multiple spots in the rules and on the box that this is a parody. Even though it shows you Star Wars parody cover, it has nothing to do with Star Wars. In fact, this has one of the most blatantly pasted on themes ever, where there's a space theme on top of a game that really doesn't have anything to do with space. This is a logical, timed game, cooperative, sort of, kind of. That sounds a little confusing. Let me show you an example of a game, and then I'll come back and talk to you about it at the end. This is a setup for the advanced game, although the advanced game plays very similar to the basic game. Basically, this game you can make as hard or as easy as you want, depending on how many colors. The basic game just has 4 colors. This is 6, while you can go up to 8. I would say right now that the difference between 5 and 4, 5 is probably twice as hard as 4, 6 is probably twice as hard as 5. Think of this as a Rubik's Cube, and each time you add another color, you add another level to the problem. Each color has their own home system. So here's the red home system. So when you set a game up, you'll put all these color home systems around. Then each one has a shepherd, this Millennium Falcon piece, and a sheep. You'll randomly place those on these starting systems. You just can't put them together, and you cannot put them on their own system. So you can see here we got some randomosity. Then you'll put some random tiles out. Now again, these tiles, depending which ones you put out, will change the difficulty of the game. You'll draw from a bag tokens that match the colors in the game. So this one here is put on here. So this basically says, this tile says move 1 past the blue sheep. But it could have said 1 past the purple sheep, green sheep, etc. Now, there is also a pile of cards that you'll have. These cards will match the color cards that are in the game, the systems in the game, and the number of the cards again increases or decreases the difficulty of the game. And then there are wild cards. Each player is dealt a handful of cards. A wolf spaceship, which looks like a wolf head, is placed randomly on one of the planets. You will also pick a wolf strength. You can start with easy 2 and go all the way up to infinity, which means if the wolf attacks, you lose. So we'll pick 4 for this. And then the gameplay begins by flipping this timer over. So the game takes place in real time. Now, on my turn, I will discard a card from my hand. I can put it here in the middle of the board and add to the defense for when the wolf attacks. It doesn't matter what card it is. When the wolf attacks, this card will help defend against the wolf. Or I can activate a shepherd. When I activate a shepherd, I just play the orange one, and I can move that shepherd 1 clockwise. So I take this orange one, and I'd move him 1 clockwise, which displaces the purple one and pushes the purple one back here. You cannot move a sheep in this way, only a shepherd. However, once the shepherd is with the sheep, as the purple shepherd is with the purple sheep now, when a purple card is played, they will both move together. And so that's one way to get people back to their places where they need to go once they're together. Another thing you can do is you can play a card to activate a system and use whatever that system says for either the sheep or the shepherd. So for example here, this says in the green system, move 2 behind the red shepherd. So I can do that with the sheep or the shepherd. So let's say I move the orange sheep back here. That puts the red sheep here because the red shepherd is over here. And that's 2 behind it. Oh wait, no, we're going clockwise. I just went the wrong way. So 2 behind him, 1, 2. Well, that was a pretty good move because now I got the blues together and the oranges together. And so then it's the next person's turn. You'll draw a card from the draw pile until all the cards are out of the draw pile. Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to get both these pieces to where they are. And each of these, you'll be moving shepherds, and you'll also be trying to figure out these, and everyone's working cooperatively. Each person takes a turn. However, you'll notice that in all that time, the timer has run out. You don't want the timer to run out. You can stop the timer from running out by playing a card that matches the system where the wolf is. You can do this at any time. You play this blue card, we knock the wolf token over, we flip the timer, and we roll a die, and the wolf moves that many spaces clockwise, and we've restarted the timer. Okay? If the wolf does attack, the wolf will destroy cards equal to the number here. He goes for the defense cards first, so he clears those out. He then goes for cards in the deck, and then he goes for cards in players' hands. If players run out of cards at any point in the game, the players lose. If players manage to solve the puzzle and get all the people onto their right spaces, they win the game. Now, like I said, the basic game just has 4 colors. It's much easier, and you have this time limit to do it in. The advanced game has as many colors as you want, but you can add another level in by giving each player an allegiance card. Most of these cards are going to show sheep, but a couple will show wolves. So these players want you to lose. However, you can point your finger at anybody over the course of the game. If at any point the majority of people are pointing their fingers at you, you are instantly out of the game. And so that's what allegiance cards do. And there's also this here, Sheep Commander. You give this a card in case you have to make a tough decision. If you play with Infinity Wolf, if the wolf attacks one time, everyone loses. And then there's like many different combinations, but that's how the game works. First of all, the pieces are great. Everyone I showed it to says, oh wow, cool Millennium Falcons. The little wooden Millennium Falcons. The colors are there. At first I wondered, what if someone's colorblind? But then they told me that they had added so many colors that if you're colorblind, you just take out the colors you have a problem with and just use the ones that you don't. I can't imagine any sane person wanting to use all 8 at the same time anyway. The basic game in the game that tells you there's a family game in there, that's basically it. It's very basic. The regular game itself is better, but, okay, here we go. I think that this game has an extremely limited audience. I have played with multiple groups of people now, and I've yet to find, I found a few people who like it, and those people say, that's pretty cool. And everyone else has hated it. Not disliked, but hated it. And I'll tell you why. Because the audience for people who like these logic problems that are timed and cooperative, that's like a grid of circles that just nothing is meshing. There's a very small percentage of people, like myself, okay? The logic part of it. Oh, that was neat. I'm sitting here mulling over, okay, I need to move here, here, here. And I mean, some of these tiles have really weird things. If the yellow sheep is 3 spaces from the red shepherd and you can move this, okay, so if I do that and do that, I like that. Okay, it's not a problem. The cooperative nature of it, great. Let's work together. The time thing, that's where I go a little bananas because we have to worry about this timed part of the game at the same time. Oh, the wolf. And because the game is timed, and because it's cooperative, and because it's a logic problem, this game has by far the worst possibility of someone standing up and saying, this is what you need to do. And I can't even sit there and go, no, I'm not sure that's the right idea. We don't have time to argue. You're probably right. There's one guy who's going to figure it out faster than everybody else. Okay, fine, you say. The game has provided for that, and it has, in the fact that you can play with a traitor or a wolf. This game was already stinking hard as it was. The traitor just makes it ridiculously difficult, because now there's one person sabotaging it, and you don't know who that is, so you don't trust anybody, and then everyone just loses. I've never won with a traitor involved, because it's insanity. I do like the idea of everyone pointing at the same person. So, it sounds like I'm really downing on this game, and I'm not, because I think there's going to be a group of people who really like it, but I'm telling you, it's really difficult. Now, granted, if you play 6, 7, 8 times, I'll tell you, by the later games, I was catching it faster than the earlier games. Okay, move this here, move that there. But it's tough, and I don't think many people are going to go past their first game of it. And I'm trying to think of many people who did with me. Like I said, I had to go to different groups of people to get this one played. I'm going to pass on this one. I think that there are some people who like it. The speed, sitting there, moving. It's like basically saying to everyone, here's a Rubik's Cube, you all need to work on it together, and by the way, it's timed, go now. If that sounds like a great idea, that is exactly what this game is, and you will like it. For everyone else though, definitely don't get this if you don't like logic problems, if you don't like things that are speed, and even if you like cooperative games, the cooperation is so frenzied and so demanding by that one person who says, this is how it must go. So, I don't know. I think the best way to play this game would be for me to get it, open it up like I just did to show you guys, and solve the problem myself. Now that is fun.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!
There.